Is the AI investment boom just getting started? Goldman's Sung Cho discusses why the market believes we're only halfway through the AI capital expenditure cycle. Watch to learn which companies are best positioned to benefit as AI spending accelerates.
Perception that AI capex was in the later innings. And now I think we've squarely gotten to the point where now the market believes that AI capex is in the middle innings. And let's talk a little bit about why that's happened and why that shift in perception has happened. One is competition around frontier models is not slowing now. So we saw Meta, right? They took a little bit of a step back with Llama 4, but how are they reacting to it? They're reacting to it by investing a lot in AI scientists. They took a stake in Scale AI, and they're not going to slow down until they win this race. And so that's one. Secondly, the shift that's happened very, very quickly over the last 3 to 6 months is that compute is not only being used for training infrastructure, but it's increasingly being used for inference. OpenAI's revenues have gone from $3 billion to $10 billion very, very quickly, right? And then the last piece of it is just the Trump administration policies is opening up access to Nvidia GPUs to a wider, broader set of countries like Saudi Arabia with the deal. And so you're seeing everything that was, oh no, AI capex is coming to an end. All signs over the last 3 months have pointed to AI capex accelerating, not actually decelerating. I think that's what's happening with the trade right now.
You think we've answered all of the questions about DeepSeek and the initial fears? You mentioned compute. We were thinking that day, well, maybe you need less compute and it's going to be cheaper. And it turns out, as people were saying then, and you're saying now, and which seems to be correct, like, no, more compute.
Yeah, I think
that plays right into Nvidia's hand.
Absolutely. And I think the last time I was on your show was during the DeepSeek, so it's a lot nicer to be here during the rally moments.
Have we put that to bed?
So we have. I do think we have. And I do think the market is interpreting that as an iteration and an evolution, not a revolution. And remember what's been happening, though, with the frontier models. There was this perception back then that frontier models were commoditizing because companies like DeepSeek take a lot of the things that Llama and OpenAI have built because of the open source nature of Llama in particular, that they could extract that inference layer and create an inference model associated with it. But what's happening now is the frontier model developers are actually starting to realize, you know what, we can't give away all the goods. We have to start closing parts of our ecosystem. So the foundational model players are actually saying, look, we need to close certain elements of and protect our IP because we're investing $50 billion plus a year on this, and we want to be more vertically integrated going forward. And so I think that's going to lead to more differentiation versus commoditization, and that's an important nuance for companies like Meta that are investing a lot right now.
You're suggesting when you say middle innings that the game's going to go on for a long time, and Nvidia is going to continue to win it.
I certainly think so. Now, there's going to be other silicon companies that win as well, right? So we have ASIC companies like Broadcom, Marvell, memory players like Micron. So there's a whole host of semiconductor companies. It's not just going to be an Nvidia, dominated game, but every dollar of capex right now, 60 cents is being spent on an Nvidia GPU.
Wow.
And so, we know who's winning right now.
So you look at your other holdings. That's one of your top holdings. Nvidia, obviously, is. Microsoft's hitting a new high today. We'll talk to Dan Ives more about that coming up. You have any concerns about some of the commentary between what's going on with Microsoft and OpenAI, and that what was a seemingly great relationship is showing some signs of fracture?
I don't really think so. Look, I think Microsoft is taking a little bit more of an asset-light approach increasingly, saying that we don't want to necessarily be all in on frontier model development only. They certainly have secured capacity for OpenAI for the next 5 years. So I don't think that business model is much at risk at all. If anything, they're trying to innovate more on the application side, which is historically where they've won, right? And so OpenAI has secured funding from other places, right? You saw Project Stargate. Some of these other backers are starting to fund their development. But certainly there's going to be friction points with any relationship, but I'm not really too concerned about it.